It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, they hadn't made a conference final since 2004. And down 20 in the second half, it looked bleak. But they dug deep. Because to be the champs, you have to beat the champs. And beat the champs they did. On their home court. Alex Rodriguez, courtside. The best young player in the game, Jaden McDaniels. We still don't know if they won the Rudy Gobert trade, but make no mistake about it. One thing we do know is that the Timberwolves are back.
Congratulations, Timberwolves.
Did they ever arrive?
If you're back, put it on the poll, Guillermo. If you're back, does it mean you've arrived?
I think the highest compliment you can give T.J. McConnell is that every New Yorker wishes they could punch him in the face.
It's annoying to lose that way.
It is.
To that guy.
Dan, I was wrong about Alec Burks. He can give you 25 on any given night. How about that?
You're going to take a victory lap over your Knicks, are you?
Yeah.
So they're all doing.
You got something right.
The Pacers shooting 67% and scoring 130 points in a Game 7 will keep Tom Thibodeau up for months. You think he slept since that game?
I have in front of me right now the exact Thibodeau game plan. This is from They Not Like Us. Number 1, Tibbs changes the culture. Players embrace hard working. 2, players perform beyond expectations. 3, a star is born and brought over. 4, expectations form. 5, a deep playoff run is expected. 6, freak injuries. 7, fans defend Tibbs hard. 8, players aren't the same the next year. 9, fans turn on Tibbs. 10, he's fired.
WFAN. Who sent that, Sal Licata?
They Not Like Us.
Oh, got it. Congratulations to the 2024 PGA Championship winner, Jeff Darlington. He won't say it, so I'll say it for him. Jeff Darlington was happy that Scottie Scheffler was arrested.
Wow, allegedly.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Was Jeff Darlington happy that Scheffler was arrested?
Edwin Diaz. A lot less cool when you have a 5.50 ERA. Here's an idea. No music, no entrance. Just walk to the mound quietly and put the nail in the coffin. Sound good?
He's been bad.
5.5 ERA. He's a closer.
It's only 5.5 because he started okay. Like lately, it's been above 10.
Yeah. He stinks.
My team broke him. He cried.
You said your team was the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah.
They won one.
No.
One straight.
Nah,
yes.
they won like 5 of 6.
Yeah, 6 of 8.
There you go.
The hottest
Even
team
better.
in baseball.
Go Fish.
There are 5 teams that have won 4 straight.
I mean, they've won 6 of 8, and you said they've won 1.
One straight. One in a row.
What do you think of me giving you that scent and having a daily Marlins penny for your thought segment, where you get a bit
Brad
of
Penny.
where
Ooh,
you
I like
get
that.
A Brad
piece
Penny for your thoughts.
like a piece of memorabilia in exchange for your crappy Marlins thoughts?
I think the audience would hate it, but I'd get a bunch of crap, I guess, that I'd like.
LeBron James, did you see the way they treated Isaiah Hartenstein? Imagine how they'll treat you. Seriously, Dan, he's got to go there. The Knicks have to trade for that pick. They have 3 picks in the first round.
You didn't want him.
Well, now I do. That was then.
2 weeks ago, y'all didn't even want LeBron. Now
That was
y'all-
then. This is now.
It's a good fit.
A lot has changed.
Right, Juju.
What if he hires J.J. Redick in L.A. and then leaves?
Wow.
Well, better to get Bronny drafted in Cleveland, J.J. Redick hired with the Lakers, and then goes to the Knicks.
Oh.
Get Shabazz Napier another job in Miami.
The Red Sox are a game under, but 8-0 this year on Sundays. Every given Sunday. The Lord's Day. I love a good Sunday, Dano.
Abby does not.
No, she hates Sundays. OKC, the rare 1 seed that still feels like they're a couple of years away from contending. Chet Holmgren, you're 7-1 and grabbed 3 more rebounds than I did over the weekend. Here's an idea. Less annoying commercials and more time in the weight room. Sound good?
Wow. Put it on the poll, Juju. Hey, Chet Holmgren, fewer annoying commercials, more time in the weight room. Yes or no? One word.
What a pro needs.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Sound good?
Yes.
Sound good? Yes. All one word.
Arsenal finished second in the Premier League for a record 8th time. You know what the A in Arsenal stands for, Dan?
I do not.
Always the bridesmaid,
Wow.
never the bride. Hey, 8 times. It's worse than the Bills.
That's pretty bad.
The I in Indiana stands for I don't think the Pacers missed a damn shot. Jesus. Alec Burks needed more help. Dan, little game of fill in the blank. Congratulations to Minnesota Timberwolves coach Blank for making it to the conference finals.
Finch, you know this.
Really?
You know this. Come
Wow.
on. Come on, Stugotz.
You are good.
Come on,
Just checking. I was
Stugotz.
making sure you
Come
knew. I knew. I
on.
was making sure you knew. That's all.
Him going out there on crutches. It's so good.
Nuggets fans, when your team loses 3 of 4 at home, maybe you have to ask yourself in the mirror, look at yourself and ask yourself, what more can you do?
They lost 1 game at home last year, right, during the playoffs?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah,
They lost 3 in that series.
it's on the fans. 3 times as many. Stats. New York Knicks, live by the Willis Reed moment, die by the Willis Reed moment. Knicks Pacers, the rare series that finished on the same day it started. Weird. Can't believe how lucky Knick fans were over the weekend, losing a closeout Game 6 on the road to force a decisive Game 7 at home. Dan, are you on drugs? You know what the D in Dan stands for?
Drugs.
Wow.
Dan?
Good one. Good one.
Are you?
Dan, are you on drugs? Yeah.
No response.
Observations. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, that's okay.
What happened?
I'm a little slow from the drug.
You want to admit something?
No, just my drug use. For wanting Game 7s if you have a good team at home. My dumbest take.
Who wants a Game 7?
Nobody
when you
wants
have
to
a
get. That's right. Nobody wants
Close
a Game
out in
7.
6.
You have total confidence in your team, except if you're at home in a Game 7 and they're better. Then you don't.
I had no confidence. Observations had the Knicks won. The M in Mecca stands for Mr. Game 7. Congratulations to the Mecca for advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals
You dared to write those jokes. You
before
thought
the game.
you are the reason they lost because you had a comedy routine to do in the event that they won.
I work ahead, Dano. You know me. The Mecca. Best 2 words in sports. It's taken almost 9 years, but congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns for finally playing like a number 1 pick.
Has it
Cat.
Has it been 9 years? It's not
9
been-
years.
No, really?
9 years. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
He's been in the league 9 years? No,
Yeah.
you're including Kentucky there, are you not?
Look it up.
No way he's been in the NBA for 9 years. That's not possible. There's no way that's true.
I hope it's
How
true.
could you keep saying 9 years again and again when there's no way that's true?
I mean, Taylor wrote it.
You don't write your own observations?
I write most of them. Taylor, he throws in a few. I take them out. They're usually about the Yankees and North Carolina.
There's no
That's
way.
why you never hear them.
9 years.
9 years.
Can't be right.
Yeah.
Apologize to Taylor.
His rookie season was 15-16.
How about that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Calipari.
I still think of him as a young player.
In fairness.
Yu Darvish with a 2.08 ERA at age 37. Some would say he found the fountain of youth.
good.
See what I did there, Dan?
Took me a minute to catch up to
See
that.
what
That's
Taylor
good.
did there?
Excellent.
I thought the
his
most.
name's you, Dan.
Yeah, you, Darvish. Youth. Fountain of you. It's tough, that sound.
It is. Yeah.
When you isolate it, not that tough, I guess.
One of the easier sounds, I'd say.
You
It
probably
is. You're
just
right,
go
yeah.
Fountain of
I
You
had
and
to work it out
not
first.
worry with the TH.
Yeah, good point, Craig.
Yeah.
I thought the most impressive day in sports history was when Deion Sanders played in an NFL game and a Major League Baseball game on the same day. That was until Scottie Scheffler got arrested, went to prison, got out, and fired a 66 at the second round of the PGA Championship. That's impressive.
Prison is where you had him.
Have a day,
Look at my
wouldn't
homies. Free y'all, man.
Dan, close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes. Now imagine the same exact situation, but Scottie Scheffler is black. The B in Bryson DeChambeau stands for balls. The S in Xander Schauffele stands for stones. Back to that scenario for a second I created. Dan, you can keep your eyes open. Jeff Darlington's still very white.
Yes.
I'm just letting you know. Let's be clear. The 4-iron on 18 with 2 feet in the sand, ball above his feet, is one of the greatest golf shots of all time that we'll never talk about. It was amazing on a par 5 to pull that out,
Do you
needing a
agree?
birdie.
Do you agree, Greg?
didn't
I
see it.
didn't see that shot.
So why are we talking about it? Because it's Shoffley?
Yes. No one cares. Poor guy. He's joining us tomorrow, by the way.
You can ask him tomorrow. Is that one of the greatest shots ever that no one cares about?
He knows it is. Trust me. He knows how hard that shot is. Dan, both feet were in the sand.
He'd be bothered.
I'm telling
that
you,
no
if
one
you
cares
tried that
about
shot
it.
10 times, you would not advance it 100 yards. You. Or me. Greg would, though.
Or
I-
Darvish.
yeah. I could do it.
Fountain of Youth. Kevin Spacey was interviewed by Chris Cuomo over the weekend. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan? It means a couple of canceled guys were cutting it up. James Dolan, your Mecca is not MSG. It's the Sphere. The S in Sphere stands for shrooms. The P stands for psychedelics. The H stands for holy shit. The E stands for ecstasy. The R stands for reefer. The other E stands for every 2 weeks, I'm going back. Every 2 weeks.
We haven't
This
talked
week
to
off,
you.
next week back.
We haven't talked to you about what it was. We haven't mined all of your drug use this weekend.
Holy shit. That's what it was.
It's terrible music.
What?
I said it.
What?
I said it. You need the drugs. It doesn't work without the drugs.
It works fine without the drugs.
You need the drugs.
I'm 2 seconds from sending your ass to the penalty box, Dan. Tighten up.
You need drugs to enjoy the music. It's not good music without the drugs.
Are you saying any music or that
no,
music?
Your music.
No.
That music that you
No.
go to Vegas
No,
to
no,
enjoy.
No. No drugs required. Although I've never listened to them when I'm not on drugs.
Because it's not any good when you're not on drugs.
Touche.
Something
Hater.
to ponder. Sitting in the 200 or 300 level atmosphere on mushrooms and trying to stand up. The most dangerous of games. Be careful, man. Chris Kreider with a third period Hattie. Cementing his place in Rangers history. Crides. That was a game that gets you in the rafters. It does. He could do nothing else the remainder of his career. That jersey is headed straight up to the rafters. I'm telling you right now.
You New York fans love the second round, don't y'all?
I don't even like the
Damn.
Rangers, man. I mean, Miles McBride took a deuce all over the Mecca. That was good. You know what the B in Brunson stands for, Dan? Ben Shepherd, you are not.
Oh, broken is what I thought you were going to go with.
On behalf of all Knick fans, our apologies for making you watch Celtics and Pacers. If I'm being honest, though, the Knicks would have been swept by Boston. I'm being honest, the Pacers are going to get swept by Boston. Series is over. It's a wrap.
Not so fast, my friend.
I'm with you, Juju.
Panthers, Rangers, heavyweight fight. It is. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Are there a lot of people telling you that it's not a heavyweight fight?
Yeah, they're disrespecting the Panthers.
They're coming up to you.
If it
and
was
saying
Rangers
it's not
Flyers, it would be
fight.
a heavyweight fight. But Rangers Panthers, the Panthers don't seem deserving to many fans outside of this market. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're saying on WFAN.
I think people that watch hockey respect the Panthers.
No, they don't.
They do.
Hockey in Florida, they do not respect. I'm telling you, Canada and East Coast.
The casual fan does not. The people who have been watching hockey this year, it's not up for dispute. But if it were Panthers Flyers, it would also be flight. You have it the right way. It wouldn't just be. It would be flight with the Flyers.
Thank you. PJ Washington has more playoff wins in Dallas than the Hornets have since 2001. All of a sudden, Kyrie Irving is a leader. Not buying it. Coach K said tap the brakes on comparing Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan. Wise man. He knows. You know what the K in Coach K stands for, Dan? Knows. Hey, look at you. Something Michael Jordan would never do. Goes 6 of 24 to Game 7. Jesus. Scottie Scheffler, the rare golfer that goes from a green jacket to an orange jumpsuit. If Scottie Scheffler knew what was good for him, he'd make orange his Sunday color. Dan, since you said horse racing isn't dead, can you name the horse who won the Preakness over the weekend?
Oh, no, I wasn't paying
Because
any
it's
attention.
dead. Yeah.
The horse?
No, the horse is still alive.
Oh,
The sport
thank
is dead.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oof.
Nikola Jokic, too bad. I was about to start calling you NJ. So close.
So close. He almost got to be called NJ.
Wherever and whenever a major golf tournament is being played, you know what you'll find? You'll find Justin Rose lurking. Top 5 golfers who love to lurk at a major. OLI. Lee Westwood. Ian Poulter. Number 5. Patrick Cantlay. Number 4, Will Zalatoris. Number 3,
He's run
Need
out
the
of music again. He's run out of music because it's too long.
Well,
I'm resetting it. It'll be back in a second.
Tuesday. Number 3, Victor Hovland. Number 2, Tommy Fleetwood. Number 1, Colin Montgomery. Monty. Playing blackjack on mushrooms. Dangerous game. Great job by Nora O'Donnell, who had a 1-hour sit-down with the Pope. That's a big get, considering Francesa hasn't done a lot of that since he retired. Jeff Darlington played it all wrong. He should have turned into some sort of crusader and gotten arrested with Scottie Scheffler. Darlington, you put yourself in the cell with Scottie Scheffler.
Boom.
Jeff Darlington, what people in our industry wouldn't give to be in the right place at the right time. I would have parlayed this into being the next Bob Lee. You know what the J in Jeff Darlington stands for?
I don't.
Unfortunately, it stands for Jeff Darlington. You know what the J in Jeff Darlington could have stood for? Jeff Darlington, host of the ABC National News in 2020. The D in Darlington could have stood for David Muir. Big mistake. Top 5 people in sports media who would have done the right thing with this story and made it all about themselves. Number 5, Pat McAfee. Number 4, Stephen A. Smith. Number 3, Greg Cody.
Yeah.
Number 2, Mike Francesa. Number 1, me. The guy playing multiple slot machines at once. Go to hell. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Not unlike Donald Trump has figured out that if you just inundate the news stream with all manner of shame, we can't keep up with it all, and your shamelessness will be able to win. Stugotz has figured out how it is to bombard our show and all its producers with so much information in real time that we can't keep up with the game of whack-a-mole. So he said recently that Michael Jordan would never lose 2 home games in a row in the playoffs, and then we looked it up and found out that he had. And he also said that Michael Jordan would never go 6 for 24 in a playoff game, but against the Pacers he did go 9 for 25 in a playoff game. But it doesn't matter, because in Stugotz's memory, Michael Jordan shot 100% from the field in his career, and so we've sent him off to jail, where he is presently sitting with the giant head of Scottie Scheffler, 5 or 6 times the size of
Terrifying, honestly.
Stugotz's head. Stugotz, what are you doing in there with the jail cell with Scottie Scheffler?
Well, Dan, Scottie turned to me. He asked, hey, can you help me out? And I said, I can help you out. If you go, I go. And so I am now currently in a prison cell with Scottie Scheffler. He should have been arrested for the size of his head. He wasn't. But I am going to get Scottie Scheffler out of here in no time for the right amount of money. Okay?
He's just closer to the camera, guys. It's a perspective thing.
Yeah.
It's not a prison, it's a jail, Stugotz. Those two things are different.
Are they?
Put it on the poll, please, at Le
Yes.
Batard Show. Do you know the difference between a prison and a jail?
Do you know the difference of 6 of 24 and 9 of 27? I'm wondering, just out of curiosity.
It was 9 of 25.
Oh,
I
even
guess
better for Michael. How about that?
That's a clean
point
cell.
taken.
By the way, Dan, Scottie can't talk. He's very upset about this. He has to get to the second round of the PGA. There was no reason he should have been arrested, so you won't be hearing from Scottie Scheffler, okay?
Okay, so you are acting as his attorney in jail, his accomplice?
His friend, Dan. His friend who would do anything for Scottie Scheffler. You know what I'm talking about, Scottie?
All right, go ahead and give us the backstory there, because I do think it's interesting, Greg. How look at me would you have been if you had been the only reporter with video access to that news story? How available, how quickly would you have hired a publicist, a publicity team, and how available would you have immediately become to the American media?
I mean, I would have, I'd have T-shirts in my merch store of me at 5 a.m. wearing a miner's helmet with a light on it. I would be doing every single show imaginable. I would have done a live Greg Cody Show podcast episode live at 4:30 in the morning. Would have done it all, man. You got to take advantage. Look at Scheffler, he never blinks. You have to take advantage of a situation like that. Darlington, I feel like, left the ball on the ground. Although if this thing does go to trial and Scheffler is prosecuted, key witness, eyewitness, Jeff Darlington. in the
Jessica,
spotlight.
do you think that Darlington buys himself anything in hiding from the look at me of this? We asked him to come on, and the only reason we wanted him on was just to talk about how surreal it was to be him that day and get caught up in that storm, and he wants the work to speak for itself.
I feel like he's doing the thing from the newsroom where he's like, I reported the news. You know? And I kind of like that for him.
Lame.
He sort of is the news, though, in a
I
certain
reported the
respect.
news.
Pablo can be very look at me. Pablo has a young theater kid as a kindergartner that has been pushed down his entire life. Pablo, how would you, Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast, and it is getting very popular. How would you have handled the entire Scheffler situation if you were the only reporter who had video of that? Would you have been a news hound, or would you have been, look at me, I want to do the publicity tour for being the news?
Well, I think Jeff Darlington did what a journalist should do. When you're presented with a situation where you're right behind, in the car behind, and you get out and you tape, and you have the only camera footage that you have because the body cam was off. Why is this a controversy? Wait, who's objecting to his instinct there? Is it because he's now doing interviews about this?
Well, Greg,
Answer the question, Pablo. You didn't answer the
Greg
question.
and
Great deflection. What would you have done, brother?
what would you have done?
I would have done that, and I would have tried to, when I was pushed. I mean, look, I'm not trying to do like I'm a bigger, tougher journalist than Jeff Darlington. I'm not saying that. I would have done what he would have done and tried to see how long I could stay out there to get footage. That seems like an obvious call to me.
Oh, so you would have pushed against the police and risked your own arrest.
Well, I'm not saying that a goal of mine would be to get arrested. I'm just saying Jeff Darlington was within his rights to be there and to do that. Right? Like,
Pablo,
What? What?
The Look at Me reporter. Yes, he was within his rights. Absolutely. We're marveling at his restraint, at his not wanting to be the story. Greg and Stugotz would have wanted to just be closer to everything that was happening there. And Stugotz has now created the scenario where he ends up in jail with Scheffler as a freedom fighter.
A crusader, Dan.
Pablo, let's check in now with Stugotz here so he can give you his position, because you've dropped the ball. With time to think about it, you failed here, Pablo, to get maximum attention for Pablo.
I'm disappointed. I'm seeing what Stugotz is doing here, and I am learning from the master. Yeah,
Listen, the game is going to pass you by, Pablo, okay? It's not about the news. It's not about journalism. It's about you. It's about your brand. And what you do in that spot is you do what I did. You get arrested with Scottie Scheffler. You go to prison with Scottie Scheffler. That's reporting. That's journalism. That's Look at Me, Louie. That's what journalism has turned into these days. Darlington squandered an opportunity. I'm sitting here. I have the keys to the cell, okay? Oh, my God. This is great. I'm getting Scheffler out, and me and Scheffler are going to be buddies for life. 80-20 my way. Keys to the cell. You like that, Dan?
You're still making it prison. It's not prison. He was stretching in jail. You don't want to be doing that in prison.
Stugotz has him and Scottie Scheffler doing the Shawshank Redemption thing together.
Yes.
He has them escaping together.
Yes.
The other part of this is you going to be in jail the rest of the day. Scottie going to be out in an hour.
That's what you do for a friend, Juju. That's what you do to make – and then the story becomes all about you. Because you are left alone in prison, and Scheffler, hopefully, after he fires a 66, second-round PGA, comes to get you out.
Stugotz,
That's a story. That's how you do it, right, Scotty?
You're only getting the second best lawyer in Louisville if this happens to you. You know that, right?
Doesn't matter. I don't need an attorney. The longer I sit in jail, prison, whatever Dan wants to call it, the better for me. The longer I sit there and people are talking about, oh, my God, Stugotz, he did something nice for Scottie Scheffler. Can you believe 14 days later, he is still sitting in jail?
You guys don't understand.
Oh, what a story.
Yes, he would go on a hunger strike in jail. They'd be trying to let him out. They'd open the doors, and he's like, no, I'm staying here imprisoned in the attention.
Stugotz, you can go now. No, I don't want to go. I'm going to make this my home for a couple of weeks. Why? Because that makes me even bigger than I already am. How about that? You can let Scottie go. Keep me in here for a month for all I care. 3 squares, Dan.
Stugotz would reveal to the police from inside of the jail cell that he had marijuana vape cartridges on him.
Yes.
He would do the reverse grinder just to stay in there for as long as possible.
You should check out my house. I mean,
do you think jail's a hotel you just come and go as you please to?
I'm not saying it's comfortable, but, Billy, when I get out in 30 days, oh, my God, I'm going to replace David Muir on 2020. How about that? Seriously, am I wrong, Dan?
Yes, just morally and in general, you are wrong, but you are right.
Pablo, I put myself in the cell with Scottie Scheffler. That's journalism, my friend.
That's not.
BFFs for life as well after that.
Are you taking journalism classes while you're in prison?
No. I am reading a book, Stugotz's personal record book. You can check it out here. That's what we do in prison, Dan. We have time.
Letters from a Louisville jail.
Yes.
Stugotz goes Martin Luther King.
We like to read in jail. Yeah. StugottsBook.com. Check it out. My personal record book. Scotty, I'll sign one for you. Yeah.
We will check back in with Stugotz in jail in a moment.
Scotty?
But he does have this right. He could. Jeff Darlington blew a glorious chance at doing everything Stephen A. Smith did to capitalize on a Sunday.
Thank you.
In terms of brand management, Jeff Darlington.
Stugotz tunnel walking with cameras around him into jail. Yes. Selfie stick.
Now, how about that, brothers?
I want you to imagine Scheffler on a boat somewhere cleaning it up, and Stugotz walking up like Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption because they're lifelong. He and Red are lifelong buddies. Stugotz would have absolutely parlayed that into a heavenly buffet of what can I get from the number one golfer in the world. Look at him.
You're so right.
The irony of Stugotz being the one who ends up in a First Amendment lawsuit with a police department and not you, Dan, for reporting the news would be, I think, I don't know, that would be great, right? That'd be hilarious.
It is appropriate that Stugotz becomes the Edward Snowden of sports media because he wants to be in jail with Scottie Scheffler.
I don't know who that is, but I agree with you, Pablo. I mean, Snowden, genius, this guy.
Darlington, you're a fool.
Thank you.
You are holding on to an antiquated set of journalistic ideals. You should.
I don't want to be the story. What are you, a moron? Oh, my God. You're a bigger moron than Scotty. You should be arrested for being a moron. I love you, Jeff.
Stugotz definitely thinks Edward Snowden is like another golfer, right?
that just walked out of jail. Yeah, he's doing whatever he
Yep.
wants freely.
Just missed the cut on Sunday. Edward Snowden.
It's unfortunate. Do it in a major.
Pablo, what is on Pablo Torre Finds Out? Where are you following your curiosities in this episode?
Oh, today is the most journalistic investigation we've ever done, Dan. It is me and Mina Kimes and David Dennis Jr. watching all of X-Men 97 and talking about it. So I don't know if anybody here had the childhoods that we had. We've been waiting 30 years to talk about a cartoon. We talked about the cartoon. It's the horniest cartoon I've ever seen, and it made me very happy to talk about all of it.
Everyone I have heard talk about it, I don't know whether it's tapping into nostalgia, childhood, or what, they say it is exceptionally well done, well written, and that it's a piece of art worth, not just if you're channeling it through the filter of childhood, but a modern day piece of art independent of that.
It's tremendous. And I just want to ask Greg, personally, can you attempt to give us a summary of what you think X-Men 97 is about? What do you imagine this show is?
I'm not a big superhero cartoon kind of guy.
Good start.
I mean, X-Men, I assume, is a group of 5 superheroes all trying to outdo each other. I have no idea.
I like
really
it
don't.
as 5 former men.
That's right.
Okay, what is it? It's a cartoon, right?
It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon, Greg, about mutant powers and superheroes. That's sort of an analogy for civil rights in America and so forth and so on. But I want you to actually can you give us the names of what you think these superheroes, the 5 superheroes, what are their names, do you imagine?
The Avenger,
Great.
Green Lantern,
Mm-hmm.
Incredible Hulk,
Okay, you're just plagiarizing actual superhero names. now.
Batman, and Godzilla. How many did I get right?
Please make a T-shirt
It's a good list.
that is all of those
That's better.
things
I'd watch
as
that.
X-Men.
Yes,
See?
I'd
Yes.
watch
Better.
that.
That's merch.
That's what you should be doing your show about. My 5 guys. Did
So,
I get
by
any
the
right?
way,
Did I get any right? I'm just
you
curious.
could not have been more wrong, but
Okay.
although Godzilla is a brilliant addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Thank
that
you.
The multiverse should welcome in. Yeah.
I think so.
One more thing I was thinking about, Dan, was there's this story about how OpenAI is like being sued by Scarlett Johansson because they're taking her voice and they're using that to be the voice of like our, of course, future dystopia. I think Greg Cody should be the voice of OpenAI. I think there's a giant missed opportunity in not having Greg Cody be a voice option for your computer when it talks to you.
Really? Can I say anything I want?
Well,
I mean,
it would be a bunch of different things that would resemble artificial intelligence.
Oh, so I have to talk according to what I'm asked to speak about.
No, they use your voice to say whatever they want as you.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I go for that.
All right, let's talk to
see.
Pablo about the serious parts of this instead of the parts about Greg Cody formulating a voice. The Scarlett Johansson story has been a story here for a couple of years that I don't believe is being covered very well because she's rightfully pissed off about things that are being taken from her that are supposed to be hers in a changing technological world. What are the areas of this story that are most illuminating to you?
I think it's just how on the nose it is because it's all based on the fact that Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, I think OpenAI is an incredibly impressive company that is almost less untrustworthy as a super villainous concept, like they're trying to kill everybody on the planet. I don't think they're trying to do that. I think what they're just doing is clumsily trying to sell people products. I think capitalism is a story of artificial intelligence. And so there's this movie called Her, in which Scarlett Johansson her voice plays the voice of the sentient general intelligence robot AI. And what Sam Altman did was essentially say to himself, that movie's cool. I want that to be real life artificial intelligence. And it just leaves me not trusting him on the level of business. Like, it's so clumsy. The idea that you're using the apocalyptic movie voice to be the real life voice of the thing you're making in reality, it feels just deeply disconnected. It's sort of like how people watch movies and they don't know who the villains are. And I think Sam Altman is realizing, or maybe he's only now realizing, how on the nose it is for them to inhabit a fictional world in which AI is a nightmare and then try to sell that to people under the guise of, man, this is awesome, isn't it?
But the problem, right, is that they asked her to use her voice, and then she's saying that she said no, and then when the voice came out yesterday, it sounded exactly like her, and so she's now suing them over that. And then I think he also had a tweet a month or so ago or maybe a couple years ago, I'm not sure, where he tweeted her, like the name of the movie. So I think is that not what the lawsuit's about?
Yes. So what's happened is that Scarlett Johansson said, no, I don't want to do that. And they basically have the powers to, as they do, simulate anyone's voice. And so I think they're claiming that they hired a voice actress who is not Scarlett Johansson to do this, but they hired essentially a Scarlett Johansson impersonator. And so whether or not they simulated her voice or hired a human who sounds a lot like her, it is exactly what an AI company, the caricature of one, would do. And so, yeah, Dan, what it does is it speaks to every sort of sense that you might have as someone who creates something, that this company is not to be trusted, that they're just going to take from real people to simulate those real people and use that real person's voice against their will to create more technology to do exactly that forever.
I want to ask the group of you what you think of when you think of a movie that was way ahead of its time. I don't know if Her is ahead of its time or of its
I believe it was.
But of its time, because there were plenty of people living in this space before I was. Obviously, I've aged out, and artificial intelligence, all of it has sort of caught me off guard. But there were plenty of people living off the grid 10 years ago when Her made an appearance. I want to ask the group to think of the movie you most associate with being ahead of its time. But what is happening with Stugotz right now, Billy? I don't understand. He is now in jail by himself. No longer. Scottie Scheffler has
Scotty's out. Yeah.
Scottie has
got him out, Dan. Yeah.
Okay, so now where's this story going, Stugotz?
Well, it's going with me sitting in prison by myself because the cops came, Dan, and they said, listen, only one of you can leave. And I, of course, told Scottie, hey, you got big things to do today. Second round, PGA, go win that Wanamaker trophy. I'm staying right here in this cell. I'm trying to win a bigger trophy, that Pulitzer Prize thing you're always talking about.
That is how jail works. Who wants to get out? I can get one person out of here.
Right.
Yeah, like
you do what you got to do for a friend. That's what you do. Yep.
Kevin Durant has 0 titles in my record book.
StugottsBook.com.
How about that, brothers?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys understand how many different deals Stugotz would parlay Scottie Scheffler shouting at him like a man from the bottom of a well, help me, can you help me? Like, can you imagine Stugotz just waddling into a heroic arrest?
You have no idea, buddy.
Scottie, I can help you, but can you help me?
If Stugotz can get his phone working to video and not just turn his flashlight on and run into the woods.
It'd be a selfie of him watching Scottie get arrested.
That's what you did. That's what Darlington should have done. I mean, what's the matter with
He would have made it a cameo. Stugotz would have it would have been, if there could be body cam footage but a cameo, Stugotz would have recorded it. Yes.
And Blade Runner.
Yep. Dan, I've asked the officers here, how long can I stay? They're not telling me. I've asked. I want to stay as long as I can. Hopefully, you'll come get me out one day, Dan. You probably won't. Scottie will, though, after he wins the PGA or finishes in the top 5. But I asked the cops. They said, listen, it could be a while, processing, all this stuff, everything. I said, listen, I'm in no rush. I'll stay here for as long as I can. How about that?
All right.
I'm offering to stay in prison.
All right. I think the bid is over. Come back in
It's
here.
not.
Come back in here and spend some
Getting
time
started.
with us and go ahead.
Serve hard time.
And imprison me in the hell I've lived in for the last 20 years. Just come right back in here and join us on the show. This man is a true Renaissance man of journalism, of music, a 6-time Emmy Award winner, 2-time Grammy nominee. And this video I'm going to play for him and for the audience, I believe is as confident as an American male can be under any circumstances. This is John Tesh, knowing that he's got a hit song on his hands and also a crowd in the palm of his hand. Watch this. soaring, and we soar with him.
His masterpiece.
Yes, well, yes. This is allegedly, according to Stugotz, the greatest sports anthem ever made.
Wow.
Right up there with "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and he gave it to us the last time he was on.
One silent moment.
Yes. No, not one silent moment. It's this and "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
It's one shining moment.
Yes, I don't know what one silent moment is.
You didn't find me, though.
I can't keep up with your mistakes. John, thank you for being on with us. One silent moment is what he described.
Would be an odd name for a song.
It really would be strange.
Silent Nights.
Perhaps. John, thank you for joining us. Certainly this fills you with the greatest of happiness, right? It fills you, that song makes you as happy as it makes us, correct?
Well, first of all, thank you. Yeah, yes, it does. And you know what? The funniest thing about this song is that when I found out that I was working for, I was doing the Tour de France bike race as an announcer back in 1990. And when I found out that through the sports grapevine, the NBC wanted, or they were looking, they had just taken the coverage away from maybe with CBS, and they were looking for a new theme. And so I thought, wow, what would that sound like? And you know the story about the whole answering machine thing. But when it was on the air, it was just another sports theme. And so it really didn't become anything until people started learning it on YouTube, you know, and the people sort of longing back for the nostalgia of the, Marv Alberts, Michael Jordan, Celtics versus the Lakers rivalry. And so that's when it really became something else, which was a big surprise for me.
Well, you have told us the answering machine story, but for those who might not be familiar with it, because it's a legendary story, and I don't know if you have anything that sticks to you the way this song sticks to you, because I imagine all over sports fans are trying to talk to you about this.
Well, and what happened was, I was actually, when I was hired at CBS to do the anthology sports, it's like the downhill skiing and figure skating and gymnastics and all that. I was working on the Tour de France bike race, and I'd heard through the grapevine that they were looking for a theme. And so in the middle of, I was in Megève, France, and we were getting ready to do the next stage of the tour. And I was thinking, what would nobody knew me as a musician. I thought, what would it sound like? And so I woke up at 2:00, and when I tell this story on stage, people always laugh because they've done it. I woke up at 2:00 in the morning with a theme in my head, and I thought I didn't have a keyboard, I didn't have a recording device, no iPhone, and so I thought the only way for me, if I go to sleep, that it's going to be gone. So I called my answering machine back in the States, back in New York. I left a message for myself. And when I tell that story on stage, people they're laughing. I think, why are people laughing? It's because everybody's done that. It's usually like, Brett, you bring home some milk. Do that. So it was two messages, and the first one was my voice picks up, and it's like, hey, there's John. There's nobody home right now. Please leave a message. The sound of the tone, So I leave. And he cut me off, and I call back, which is about like $150 for a phone call from Megève, France, and like 35 numbers. And I call back and say, here's the rest of it. I started to, and I got home 2 weeks later, and I checked my messages on my answering machine, and I had two. Both for me. Damn. They were there. Since I took the answering machine and put it on my piano, and I said, let me figure it out, And so I said, well, this might be something. And so I got the band together, and I thought, I know how these guys at sports think, and I'd known Ebersol because he was, he was a friend of mine. And so what I did was I figured out what the fast break was. And it was, so disco is, is 120 beats a minute, but a fast break is like 132, almost like a rap tune or EDM. And so I set the tempo at that, and then to sort of eliminate what they would have to do in their brains, I didn't send a cassette. I went into a studio. There was no laptop editing back then. I went to a studio and I got a bunch of highlights from the NBA. I edited it to the music, and so I sent in a VHS tape, not a cassette tape. And so when they looked at that, they were like, "Well, it was a simple phone call. Hey, John, this is Dick Ebersol. This is your song. What's it called?" And I was like, "Round Ball Rock." I sort of made up something, and he said, "Well, this will work. Let us play it for 30 years and put 2 of your kids through college." And it was pretty much that simple, but it was just, I was writing themes. And so for me, it was just another theme. I thought, well, it sounds right. And then once they debuted it, I think it was a San Antonio Spurs game. I was on the road again, and I knew that it was going to be debuted, and so I went into a bar, in the middle of the afternoon. I'm sitting there with everybody, and they're watching the game, and all of a sudden the theme comes on. You go ba 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 da ba da 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 da, and I'm just like, anybody, and nobody, and so the bartender's there, and I go, hey, you hear that music? And he's like, yeah, I hear it. I wrote that music. He goes, oh, great. Do you want another beer? So
nobody cared. How often?
I was very impressed with myself, but nobody else in the bar.
How often? Well, you should be, because it rocks. But how often have you been moved to that kind of inspiration to leave yourself a message on an answering machine? Has that happened often?
Yeah, that's a great question. Pretty much every week after it debuted, I did it. So I have, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 tapes of me just going, but nothing ever happened. So I figured, and I've kept the answering machine. I have the machine and I have the tape. As
brother,
you saw.
Brother, you have a wonderful, phenomenal voice. Have you ever thought about voice acting or reading like ASMR books? Like, it's incredible, brother.
He's got a great broadcast.
I appreciate it. Yeah, ASMR would be great. It would just be like,
Yeah.
It's amazing that that's become popular now.
Amazing.
John, did I hear you correctly? The title "Round Ball Rock" was almost off the top of your head. What would have been the alternative title had you not come up with that?
It would be like theme number 32 or something. I mean, it's an instrumental song, so I had no. Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, I think I'd written it down like that, but early on, people were making fun of like Round Ball Rock. What the heck is that? And so, my greatest accomplishment musically in my life is that Round Ball Rock actually has its own Wikipedia page. I discovered this.
Wow, so cool.
Like, that's it. That's all I need.
But you've got an accomplished music career. This you wouldn't regard this as your greatest musical achievement, or would you?
No, I mean probably Live at Red Rocks, which was the PBS special that. I mean, it's a long story, but I was working at Entertainment Tonight in 1993, and I kept sending out tapes of my music, which I'd done for sporting events for years. I mean, golf themes and NFL and all the rest of that stuff. And and musicians love this because working for the network, right? I always knew when they needed a theme, and so I would just give it away. I would say, "Hey," and then you can just sort of live on the BMI royalties. And so I was writing themes all the time, but not until that Red Rocks thing where PBS took a chance on us, and we took a chance, putting it together. Did things change for me? We went from selling 50 records a month to 35,000, and that's when I left Entertainment Tonight.
Did it birth your music career? Did that moment birth your change of path, where you didn't want to be a television person anymore? Because Entertainment Tonight, for those who do not know, it was as big a show as we had in the United States, right? It was one of the bigger name brands in television.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day about it because, when I walk into a Starbucks now, people are like, "Hey, didn't you used to be John Tesh?" I'm like, "Yes." And there'll be some old guy in the back who'll go, "Hey, he was on Entertainment," and then they're like, "What was that?" And so I basically tell them a story about, in 1986 when I was on there with Mary Hart. I mean, 23 million people a night watched that. There's really no cable or anything. And the only time that you could, I was having this conversation with my daughter. The only time you could see a movie trailer was either in the movies or on ET. And so it was that popular. The problem with it is that when I was, going after all these labels trying to get signed, I think the guy, I think it was Clive Davis said, I don't know that we're interested in having the guy who reads his celebrity birthdays on the same label as Kenny G, So
that's funny. So you weren't serious enough. What you were doing was too much cotton candy for the music industry. I wish
I'd said that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
But you're laughing all the way to the bank, so screw them.
Right. And artistically, you got to do something evidently that's a lot more meaningful to you creatively.
Yeah. The great thing about ET was that they recognized that I sort of had one foot out, and and Mary Hart and all the producers there, every time I did a concert, they would promote it and stuff. So it was really, I just couldn't do both at the same time. I wrote a book called Relentless, which is, back in 2015, I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and given 18 months to live, not to cast a gloom on the interview, but that was a horrible time for me. And it was, I think, going through the chemo and all the rest of it, being able to still sit down and play piano was real medicine for me. And also, there was a pile of prayer in there and medicine as well. But it was. I grew up as a musician. I grew up, playing my scales on Long Island, not far from Billy Joel. Everybody was in a garage band. I was born in 52, and everybody was in a garage band on Long Island. And Billy Joel was in a band called the Hassles, and I was in a band called the Best of Both Worlds, which had two bands that broken up and became one. And it was a Blood, Sweat, and Tears cover band. And so Billy's band was very popular. And so we were in a rivalry. It really wasn't much of a rivalry, because if Billy didn't want the gig, then we got it. So Billy was like, and the Hassles was like the Hassles, and we were like RC Cola. That's really, I mean, my whole life was music, basically.
Well, according to Sports Business Journal, NBC has now offered $2.5 billion a year to get back the rights to the NBA to create a basketball night in America. Bill Simmons is saying, quote, "It's a wrap," and Charles Barkley says he's going to be on LinkedIn tomorrow. Has NBC reached out to you about reviving Round Ball Rock?
They have, actually, yeah.
Yes.
They it's nothing, firm. But they said, "Hey, can you stay frosty on this?" It's like a Navy SEALs thing, because we'd love to talk to you about it. And we're actually talking right now about licensing it to them for the Olympics in Paris, which is always great. Yeah, I love. So we're actually going in at the end of June. We're heading to Nashville, and we got a full orchestra on hold. We're going to re-record it. Because it's the recording I think it still sounds great, but I wanted to make a few changes, maybe open up the middle, maybe we'll send it to you guys. You could turn it into an EDM track, that kind of stuff.
You gonna upcharge NBC, or what do you think?
I mean, it's just a licensing fee, So I figure if they're spending, what is it? What did you say? $2.5 billion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll take $1 billion a year.
There you go.
Are you going to update the song? Is there a version of the song that has lyrics?
Oh, if you need a verse, let me know.
Yeah. Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
The Saturday Night Live clip. Do you guys have this? So you're telling me that this is a real story? What I thought was a spoof, you're telling me is a real story? Let's play that clip for John Tesh.
All right, fire away. All right, ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
All right, 2, 3, 4.
Basketball, gimme the ball, because I'm gonna dunk it!
That can't be the lyric. That's not the lyrics. That's not that's not.
No, that's the lyrics. That's the lyrics. So my wife and I were on like a weekend vacation. We ran into Vince Vaughn. He was with his son. He was in the buffet line at this place called Paradise.
No, he's telling us a story.
Connie, she's great. My wife Connie Selleck is great. She comes running up to him, and he's my size. I mean, he's 6'6" easily, and she goes, "Hey, this is my husband John. Do you remember the thing you did on him and with the Round Ball Rock basketball theme?" And he remembered the whole thing. It was great. I thought we were like stalking him, but
this is a true story. Those were the lyrics, John.
No, they made up this. Saturday Night Live made up those lyrics.
Okay, so there were no lyrics, right?
No, and I don't have a brother named Dave.
So there are no lyrics. There's no one who's asked you to put lyrics on the song. It's perfect the way that it is. It doesn't need any changes.
A lot like this sounds like you're auditioning for a co-writing thing. I'm in if you want to put lyrics in it.
Say less.
Juju,
done.
I'm in.
Deal.
Juju,
I'm gonna send a verse over to you. COB tomorrow.
Open up that middle.
All right.
But the words are already basketball.
Let's play for John the difference between these two songs. I'd like for him to explain to me the difference between the only version of the song that I've known that starts like this. Flawless, perfect, reminds me of a time, makes basketball more epic, but the other version that's longer has this in it. Even bigger. Perfect. Even bigger. Yeah. So explain to me the difference between what's happening there and why have I not heard that second one more?
I actually couldn't hear it. I just saw dancing.
Okay.
But, I don't know.
Imagine what you were thinking, but a lot grander.
Yeah. If he can't hear it, that makes it hard. Chris Cody, you want to try it again for the man so that he can... It's got some Star Wars to it. It feels a bit intergalactic.
Did you hear
yeah,
that
there's
one?
You're talking about the intros, a longer intro?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they wanted to get to the song faster in the second one. But based on what I've seen on video right now, I think the second one's probably better because I saw more dancing.
That's good. Good enough. John,
We crushed that.
John, thank you. You especially. John, thank you for being on with us. We always appreciate the time, and we will always appreciate the song. I can't believe we're breaking news here. There's going to be a new version of this. NBC is going to fix all the bad will it creates by ending Charles Barkley's studio show, but replacing it with the glorious remake of this. I think it'll be enough to soothe sports fans.
Stay firm at $1 billion, John, okay?
Yes.
John, we're playing your song in case you can't hear it.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Basketball.
Duncan.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.